Well, this is sort of my annual truck out in this area here. I always try to bring by some ink pens and chapstick. Ink pens mainly for budget purposes.
The bag that the K Camp gave away, about this size, is perfect for coaching and taking your corny board and your.
You got one of those?
Yeah, I got.
What colors you get? The blue
Black.
or
Black.
Okay.
It looks like just a regular bag, but it's got K Camp on the side of it. But nobody knows what K Camp is.
I used mine when I went to the accountant.
What's that?
I used mine when I went to the accountant.
Yeah.
It's just dumped it on his
That's
desk.
a nice bag. Got pockets on it.
Well, that way, come payday here at the county, you'll have something to take your money home with. Well, just got a little bit, just updated information for you. Take about 15, 20 minutes, 30 at the max. If you always try to make it sort of to the point. I try to, as much as possible, keep the small talk out of it. It's hard for me to do sometimes. Before I get started, though, Mr. Steinmetz, how long have you, I'm home office out of touch.
Oh, okay.
How long have you refereed JUCO level?
8 years.
8 years?
Mhm.
Okay. So you didn't know Andy Anderson probably, did you?
Uh-uh.
There,
No.
he's a friend of ours. He was
okay.
did refereeing at the JUCO level for 30 or 40
Long
years. but
Did he
yeah.
do a good job?
Huh?
Did he do a good job?
Did you? I don't know. I think so. That's one. Did you referee that game?
I did a third and fourth place game. I did
Oh,
the championship game.
You just commute back and forth?
No, they put us in motels down there.
Do they?
Mhm.
Good. Okay.
It's a long ways.
It is.
So much for the small talk.
Yeah.
I guess you like the improvements to the arena.
They're very nice.
Are they?
Yes.
Good. I haven't even
Dressing rooms?
Yep.
Do they?
Mhm. Very nice.
Most of these are two-sided handouts here. On the back page of the cover page here, it says overview. We do continue to grow our membership. I think I mentioned last year, K-Camp is not an insurance company, it's an insurance pool. It's not unlike it's county owned. It's not unlike a credit union or a farmer's co-op or a rural electric co-op. So we did add 3 new members here in 2016. And I think we added those since I was here. Clark County, we've heard about Clark County here recently. They're in Ashland. The other county would be Kearney County, which is just west of Penny County. They're at Lincoln. And then I told the CEO, so I don't know if this is a new member or not, but it's Jackson County. They're north of Topeka. They were an original K-Camp member, charter member, then they left and then came back to the pool. We've had several counties that's done that. We understand. Most recent county says Jackson County would be there. Rice County used to be a K-Camp member. Now they've left, and now they've rejoined the pool. Broad coverage, prudent limits. I'd like to say that you always like to think insurance. When you have insurance, it just covers everything. But even at the county level, it can't cover absolutely everything. You had those bridges down in Ashland. Don't have very many bridges, county bridges, but I don't know if any were damaged by fire. But those are one things that's hard to cover. But that being said, whenever we do say we have broad coverage, we do mean broad coverage. For example, floods, flood insurance. That's part and parcel of your policy. If you look on your homeowners, I always said the most important page of any insurance document is the exclusion page. Go right to it, find out what's not covered, see if you can live with it. If it doesn't have what's not covered, then chances are it's probably covered. Well, generally, if you want flood insurance, if you have a mortgage, you gotta have to buy that extra. Same for earthquake. We think, well, we don't have to worry about earthquakes in Kansas. And I don't know what to think about this world anymore with global warming or what have you, but you know, our K-Camp member counties along the Oklahoma border have appreciated having that umbrella of coverage. Another one,
Is there many claims on earthquake insurance?
we did have one.
I heard last year there hadn't been any, but.
Oh, well, this was about 3 years ago that we had a claim from Harper County there in Anthony.
Yeah, the courthouse.
Courthouse. We got to look at, they called us and they said, you know, we been having some earthquakes because of this oil production down here process. And we have coverage, and we said, yes, you did. So well, we think we got damage. So, you know, we went down there, our adjuster did look at it. He says, I don't know. You know, I don't know if you've ever been to the Harper County Courthouse or not, but it's a little brick structure, you know, it's old. So now you got to determine, was it because of earthquake or partially, or not at all? Because, you know, courthouse is settled and what have you, so we didn't know. So then we hired a earthquake expert out of California. Come in here. I'm not a real big fan of experts, but anyway, you know, it's good, you know, that you need to get them. So he came in here and did all of his measuring and work, and you know, when you're working by the hour, you get a lot of hours. It's sort of like an attorney. No one's an attorney here, I think. But anyway, he come back with his conclusion, and all we wanted to know was one question. Was the damage here to the Harper County Courthouse as a result of the earthquake, yes or no? He came back and he said, it's possible. Well, the final conclusion was that there was already some settling going on and the cracking of the floors and stuff, and the earthquake exasperated that. So we did pay out some, but we didn't replace the courthouse. So anyway, that job took over a year to complete down there, that repair job. Page 3, it shows the 2017 county member map. As you can see, the dark spaces are K-Camp member counties, and we are pretty much spread clear across Kansas here. It is a benefit for me being home office, you know, at Hutch. I'm almost, if I was in Salina, I could say it was in about the middle of the state, but you know, it is still a long distance whenever you're from Hutch to Goodland or Sarah Springs. Mr. Stein, and you still referee basketball at high school?
Yeah,
So you're familiar with a lot of high schools across Kansas, probably.
very.
Is it mainly 5 or 6A, or you?
Oh, all over.
All over, yeah. It's sort of fun, isn't it?
Yeah, something to do.
Yeah. Page 4.
Builds character.
The membership growth that you can see from 2012, we were at 69 members. We are now at 84 total members. They're not all counties, but what we insure also, in addition to county, that's our primary focus, but we also insure auxiliary operations of the county, such as maybe county nursing home or county hospital that has their own board there, so we insure those also. But the rule of thumb is we're only about counties, and I know that we had some townships that's wanted to join, and because they have their own elected board. Now, if they have a unit road system, I don't know if you have that here or not, then that's a different story. Page 5, it does give the K-Camp governance, 7-member board of trustees, serves every 3 years. On the next page, page 6, the board of trustees, we do have one vacancy, and I think the current board of trustees are in the process now of filling that vacancy. And that vacancy is the Adam Smith, it says former Wallace County Commissioner. He's now a state rep. So he's having even more fun in Topeka than he is at the courthouse. So, I don't know if anyone here is interested in being a trustee or.
I think Shane is.
What's that?
Shane will be, we'll talk to him after the meeting.
Yeah, give him some more windshield time. But probably the closest trustee that would probably be, that would be from this area, I guess it'd probably be, Ed Harbin, sheriff from Ellis County, there in Hayes. We do have another John Smith, Stanton County commissioner, but outside of that, all of the other commissioners would be east of here. So if anyone is interested, we'd sure entertain someone from down in this area here. K-Camp staff, as you can see, we're not a large staff, but we do have contract people that we work with. For example, here we only have one claims rep, in other words, claim adjuster, that works the whole state. But as a practical matter, if you have an accident, car accident, say in Morton County, Elkhart, pretty good ways away from Topeka, where he's home office at, it makes more sense to contact our contract claim adjuster out of Great Bend or out of Hayes to go down there and look at that claim, rather than drive all the way to Topeka. Page 8, net assets. In 2007, it was just under 5 million. 2015, it is now over 21 million. There's 2 or 3 reasons for that. Number one, we've added some new members since that time. Number 2 is our average 5-year loss ratio has been below average. So that means if we were a company, we're making more company. That does put the trustees in a sort of enviable position, sort of like it put the county commissioners in an enviable position if you had too much money, you know. Sometimes that's not, because everybody's got a way to spend all that. But anyway, it got to be a point where, you know, how much money do we need in our co-op before we're well covered for every worst case scenario to make sure we can pay our claims. So they'd done a special actuarial study and last year, and as a result of that, they've actually, the trustees said we're going to go ahead and give our first dividend check since we've been in existence. What happened was $21 million net asset, cash in the bank. How much do you need? And they came back somewhere between 16 and 18 million dollars. It's going to cover every worst case scenario out here across all of our counties, and you'll still be able to meet your obligations. So they are giving these checks back. Now, with respect to Stafford County being a newer county, I don't know if you'll get one. I don't think so. I think, of course, you know, I think the calculation is, as I understand it, and you may very well be getting one. David Luce, if you are, will be getting hold of you here next month or two to set up a time to come and present that check.
Okay.
It's based on time, loss ratio, and premium. And the time, I think, is 5 years or longer. Okay, I can't remember. You've been here, what, 2.5?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it may be just one full year. I'm not sure. But anyway, page 9, our liability program structure. What this means is how do we pay our liability claims? And here up until 2 years ago, right before Stafford County became a member, we had reinsurance. In other words, we're partially self-funded. In other words, we have a liability claim. So the sheriff goes out and gets involved in an altercation, someone gets injured, prisoner. Then they sue the county commissioners. Because, you know, broke both my legs, I can't walk no more, I'm disabled, I need a lot of money. And we proceed with that claim, and at that time, we would pay the first $250,000 of the cost associated with that claim, including attorney fees and or a settlement. We've now raised that to $500,000. What that's done is significantly reduced our reinsurance, sort of like your home. You raise your deductible from $500 to $2,000 or $1,000, you're going to have cheaper insurance. And I don't think, that's why I always say we're an insurance pool. A lot of people don't understand that insurance companies buy insurance. There are insurance companies, that's all they do is insure partially self-funded entities like railroads, cruise ships, Walmart, what have you. They're all self-funded. Big cities. That's why, as a practical matter, we cannot insure every county in the state if we wanted to. Of the 105 Kansas counties, 6 of them are urban counties. And they're all have their own insurance operation. They're self-funded and they have reinsurance. So we have we now have a $500,000 self-retention. In other words, that's our deductible. Then we have reinsurance that covers up to the next $2.5 million of a claim. We do have another layer on top of that. Page 10, page 10, the 2017 property program structure. In other words, how do we pay our property claims? I just mentioned car wreck. Somebody slips and falls in the courthouse from water on the floor during the winter time and they break their back. How do we pay those? Well, that's not a property claim. Should not be getting ahead of myself here. Say you have a hailstorm. And sort of like we had here a few years ago up in Thomas County at Kobe. I don't know if you've seen that courthouse or not. It's one of the larger structures, but it's a very large brick structure with tile on top. It's like a cathedral. It's like a church cathedral, really. And that was a $400-something thousand roof on there.
Wow.
Yeah. It was like 3 stories, and you had to scaffold and real steep. So our self-insured retention on that is $250,000 of the property claim. Then we have reinsurance that goes up to the next $1.75 million, and then our next layer is Lexington insurance. If it exceeds $2 million or $250,000 plus $1.75 million, then we have $23 million coverage. Hence, whenever I talked about flood insurance and earthquake insurance and stuff like that, it's the worst case scenario. Let's just say Harper County is totally obliterated by earthquake. What's going to be the damage there to all their buildings and vehicles and whatnot? Page 11, the property rate. In other words, how much insurance do you pay per $100 of insured value? 2009, it was actually about 17 cents. It has actually dropped in 2017 to 14 cents, even though insurance rates have been increasing. We've reduced that. Again, that's because of the strong net asset position. On page 12, the liability rate, same thing, $100 of payroll. How do we cover the liability? I won't say which county it was. It was a county here in southwest Kansas. Public Works went out, was doing right-of-way maintenance. Besides mowing, they go out and clean trees and shrubs and stuff out of the ditches and way. They got too far over on the landowner and cut down his black walnut trees. And how much is a mature black walnut worth? But there was a dispute. Of course, they said he had planted them on our right of way. And so the owner said, no, we didn't. I know where's that. I went off the fence. Well, as you know, have you ever been fence judges here? Well, that's a treat.
Not yet.
You ought to experience that. In the county commissioner, you are by statute the fence judge whenever there's a property dispute on fences. I was Reno County Commissioner for 12 years and I was a fence judge twice. And commissioners, just don't go ask any of those people to put campaign signs on their property after you're a pitch. So, anyway, that was a litigation. And come to find out, there was a settlement. They did cut down some walnut trees on that guy's property, you know. And it goes to show you, even Public Works, even though they think they know the boundaries and stuff, you gotta be careful out there, you know. So anyway, that's gone down. The property rate from 57 cents is dropped to 48 cents. Page 13, return of member contributions since 2012, we've returned about $1.373 million to members, including $771,000 in contribution credits for the rate stabilization program and $602,000 in dividends. That's what we're returning this year, the dividends. The rate stabilization program, and Stafford County hasn't qualified yet because you haven't been members long enough. But once you become a member, what that program is, very popular. And you won't see that with an insurance company. It's something that, you know, an insurance pool can do. What that program means is that we come to you with an interlocal agreement and say, if you agree to insure with us for the next 3 years, your premium will essentially be the same. Obviously, there's always provisions. You know, if you build a new structure, add new property, and or your loss ratio exceeds that 3-year average. So if it's below average or below average for all the members, then we will give you a contribution credit back based on your premium. It's a 1-year contribution credit back, plus next 3 years you know about what your premiums are going to be. That's sort of nice for commissioners saying, man, for the next 3 years we know what our gas price is going to be. We'll just go ahead and figure on that. You can't do that. With insurance you could. You know, I asked my homeowner provider about that, and he said, that's a really interesting program. I said, well, I'll tell you what, I got a deal for you. I said, if I agree to stay with you the next 3 years, will you keep my homeowner's insurance the same? He said, you got to be kidding. So he said, no, it doesn't work like that in the real world. Page 14, the risk management consulting services. I'll only just hit on 2 or 3 of these that I think are pretty significant. One of them is what we call E-Risk Hub. That's cybersecurity. You know, again, part and parcel of your policy, you do have cybersecurity coverage. You know, courthouses are privy to a lot of information on our citizens. Within that courthouse, somebody can go in there, if they got in there, they could make off with some of your citizen information, which includes your full name, their date of birth, their social security number, maybe bank and credit card information services. As far as I know, we've had one claim from a county, and that's where a hacker broke into the treasurer's computers and made off with some money out of South America. We paid that claim. Wasn't a lot of money, fortunately. But the most recent claim, and it wasn't in Camp County, but it just gives you some idea of the coverage was there in Wichita. I don't know if you remember the county commissioners, and they wouldn't talk about it much, but finally came out, was that Cornell and Sons, you know, one of the big pavement contractors, did a lot of work. They get paid once a month or every week as the work goes on. And somebody called representing themselves as that contractor to Sedgwick County, and they sent them like a $500,000 check. And it wasn't them. And it was cashed. And it was gone. Well, if that were to happen here, you'd have coverage. Well, in Wichita, again, there's parts of self-funded. Well, we have to talk to our insurance provider. I told my wife, I said, good luck on that.
Yeah.
I said, first of all, their deductible's probably $500,000 to see if they even had coverage. And we had another one here, another County, I think it was,
Barton County.
huh?
Barton County.
Barton County, same thing, it's not one of our K-Camp counties.
Right.
And they said, well, we'll talk to our insurance. Well, again, a lot of insurance companies don't even look at your exclusion page. You know? So anyway, on the human resources, attorney assist, I don't know, as county clerk, if you had opportunity, or sheriff, or county counselor, to use attorney assist, that's where, you know, you have that green magnet down there that says K-Camp Attorney Assist, that toll-free number. That's where we have a contract attorney. We have an in-house attorney that handles stable litigation. In other words, we get a claim and he's going to try to manage that claim. But if we have a big claim where we actually need a litigator, that's the person that actually takes it to court, to trial if we need to. Those are the attorneys you'll talk to. The contract firm is Fulton Seaton, if you ever heard of them, out of which but yeah, maybe not our good firm, but they're the biggest in Kansas, and it's the branch in Oakland Park. And within that branch, they have 2 attorneys, and one of them is dedicated solely to K-Camp. That's all he does, is county litigation and his backup. So they're just county focused on representing counties, and that's it. And as we know, there's a difference between counties and cities and school districts and on their legal needs out here. So I hope you didn't have a bad experience with those. But like I say, I think in Wichita they got like 80-something attorneys out of the Wichita office, and half that many at Oakland Park. So they're a pretty good size outfit. I know Reno County we used on environmental law.
We have a county hospital, that's one of the things.
I see, yeah. Is it a, you don't have to do it, do you?
Oh,
Well, do they have their own board?
yeah.
What's the board? Okay, does that board then have the authority to go out and then get their, or we don't insure it, do we? Okay. Some of them we do, that's why I always ask. They have their authority to go out and get insurance on their own. But as you know, everything flows downhill, and so you go to the top of the hill, see who's on top of the hill, usually it's county commissioners. And then it goes down from there.
I think we're at the bottom of the hill.
One other thing on the human resource risk, the last item there, we do have customizable employee handbooks. Now, the reason I say that is customized per county, and we're not here, K-Camps, to tell you how to treat your policies for your employees. What we're here to do is to ask us to let us look at your handbook and maybe point out maybe some legal issues that maybe you hadn't thought about, and we will help customize that to address your insurer's concerns with those. So, and we've always said about every election cycle, or about every 4 years, look at it and update it. Take out the old stuff, see what needs, as you know, things, you know, who thought 20 years ago we'd have to have a policy on cell phones? You know, didn't have them, you know. So I don't know how often you guys update your
Well,
employee
it's been a
handbook.
while since we've been through
Yeah.
the books.
It's a tedious process, but it's something that sometimes takes several months. And whether I don't know how you do it, whether you set department heads or you get an employee group together and say, we're going to go over this and see what we need to do. But, yeah. But we will help customize. In other words, we're here just to suggest, not to tell you, we're going to insure you regardless, but help keep your claims down. It helps your premiums too. It's like anything. Page 15, risk management incentive programs. Our most popular here on the incentive program is that top one, the risk avoidance grant called RAG. That's where we have set aside $2,000 for each county, and the same goes for Stafford County. It's really $2,000 of your own money. and that's for you to be used for risk mitigation and/or loss control. So as you get into the budget, you might make a mental note that, hey, we got this $2,000 grant here that we could use for something. The big users of that is usually your big budgets. That would be like Public Works and Sheriff. I don't know, we've had a lot of talk here, in the last 2 or 3 years about body cams now. And I know here being along Highway 50, you have a lot of traffic activity, should I say, in respect to law enforcement. And so I don't know does he have a body cam or anything, so that's something that you could use that money for. Obviously, body cam helps capture the event, if there is one. Well, if you capture that event, and if there's subsequent litigation from that event, it helps to have something there to look at, so, hey, we got a defense here, We found that out up in, a few months ago up in Ellis County, just south of Plainville, when the Ellis County deputy got involved in a shootout, and a person died. And of course, then there's always assertions, No one was there, but they knew what happened, you know what I mean? Or they heard it from someone that they don't know. But anyway, that really helps out. So that's just a suggestion. In your public works, for example, on your dump trucks or gravel trucks, I don't know, do you have semi or just
No.
huh? But, what we found is our most numerous property claim coming out of public works across the state is pitted windshields. And as we all know, if a motorist claims a pitted windshield, and if they can reasonably assert that it was something that come out of the truck rather than picked up off the road by the truck, we'll pay the claim if it came out of the truck, but if it's up off the road, there's no claim. You can't insure that. And so as such, that's why the state statute saying you cover all loads. So we will replace the tarps or get tarps for your dump trucks to make sure those loads are covered, to cut down on those claims there. Generally what we see is most often is whenever you're in the summertime doing your sand seal process here, where you're pulling a lot of that light gravel that flies out of the truck. And what we found is if that truck was carrying gravel or anything in it, and a citizen calls and said they cracked my windshield, usually we'll go in the favor of the citizen if it wasn't covered. If it was covered, then we can dispute it. They cannot chip off the road. So that's some of the money that you could use that for. I mentioned about a slip and fall in the courthouse here. In the wintertime, you can use it to buy the little signs to put at the front door that says wet floors, like you see in shopping centers and stuff like that. When it comes time to a big claim, that helps. If you have those there, if you don't have those signs out, it hurts your case. It's a lot of it's common sense. You should be able to see, well, that floor's wet, I better be careful. But you got to tell people it's wet.
How do we go about doing that? The $2,000. You form online?
Yeah. Usually the clerks know that. What it is, it's really simple. All you do is identify what you want to spend the money on there, incur the cost, pay the bill, and then give us the invoice and we reimburse you.
And I've tried.
Huh?
I've asked both sheriff and road to submit something.
Sounds like we
Well,
better take advantage of it.
Well, come budget, that's why we say come budget time now. Look at this budget here, you want a new red light for your truck, huh? Have you ever thought about another source of income here? We got this grant. I'm not telling you what to say, I'm just, I've heard that, I've been sitting in meetings and heard that. I was at a county here, and they were talking about, there's an ambulance in there was wanting to get a new grill guard for deer hits. It helps mitigate the damage. The commissioner said, well, do you have a budget for it? He said, well, no. That's why I'm here before you. I'm seeing you'll give me some extra money. And I raised my hand. I said, I don't want to interrupt, but you do have $2,000 available. and that is a legitimate expense because that can mitigate. Now, some commissioner says it don't help. Well, if you're going 80 miles an hour, probably not. But if you're going 55 or 60 and you hit a small deer, it'll probably help reduce the damage to that vehicle. So that's, you know, when it comes time for this grant, you can about imagine anything or justify anything to be used for, because, well, if we use it for this, the reason we're doing it is because it could reduce this claim, and it can be used for training too. But usually the sheriff is usually pretty aggressive. Most sheriffs are usually pretty aggressive in trying to get some of that.
Well, they've talked to me about having camcorders and stuff too. Might as well use it.
I told him.
$2,000, I think.
Not
There in Reno County, they got the recorders. I think he researched. I think $800 or $900.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that expensive, but they are. You know, nickels and dimes add up into tax dollars. But at least go ahead and say, well, buy one and experiment with it, see how you like it, see how it works. You know, but yeah, it could sure be used for that. And also tuition reimbursement, again, we reimburse any county employee that goes to any training which helps manage risk or reduce claims. If they go to, say, from here to Stafford County, the sheriff sends a deputy out to Hutch or Dodge City for some additional training and said, well, there's going to be a $50 cost to come to this for 8 hours. And they go to it, send us the bill, and we'll reimburse the sheriff that $50. I think it's $600 to $800 maximum per county, but like I said, nickels add up.
Yep.
And so, and as we know, the sheriff, and his deputies have to have 40 hours of training per year. And a lot of it they could do here, but some of it, out of necessity, they have to go somewhere. It doesn't cover meals and travel, but it would cover the tuition cost. And generally, if it's an 8-hour course, usually they'll have some kind of cost associated with that. This page 16, the last page, it does show here a risk avoidance grant. We did pay out $85,000 here last year. The loss control contribution credit was $14,000. And the others here is just like K-Camp Online University, almost 3,000 courses completed. And attorney assist, which I mentioned earlier, we did have 407 calls from counties about a legal issue in their county and wanting some direction or advice or a question. Generally, it's the clerk, sheriff, or your county council will be the one that will call me and said, I've got this situation, here's what's happening, what do you think? Any questions, commissioners?
I think it pretty well covers it.
Huh?
I think it pretty well covers it.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking time. What session did you go to? You got that black badge. Was that KAC or the commissioner's school in February?
It was KAC.
Or was,
I think it's good. I don't really remember.
Was it? Well, the KCCA is coming up here in June, and I think that'll be at Manhattan again. So, we always try to help sponsor those. We always have our annual business meeting at KAC. Did anyone go to KAC last November? Here, were you at the business meeting?
It's been too long ago.
I know. Isn't it amazing? I always tell.
Yes,
I learned this in college. I said, I'm here. Like, for example, I'm here presenting this material to you today. Now, this is Wednesday. I dare you to come back next Wednesday and say something substantial that I said. I don't remember, and I understand. I'm the same way.
I remember we get $2,000 if we.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, thanks a lot, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank
You guys
you.
have a good, fruitful week. I hope it rains the rest of the week. Likely. Okay. We'll see you.
All right. I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of March 22nd.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from March 22nd. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
That KAC is gonna be in Junction City.
I think that's right.
Yeah, May 31st through June 2nd.
I wish they'd
Might
pick a
be
different
late.
time of year.
It's late.
Because it's usually the first part of May.
Because that's usually our
I wish they
conference
did
is
in
at
the
the
winter.
same time. Doug called and wanted me to remind you of the emergency preparedness drill that's this Saturday
Oh, yeah.
with the train car. It'll be
Tabletop.
somewhere around the co-op on the south edge of town. It starts around 10:30 if you want to pop by and see what they're doing.
See him blow up the train.
And also the storm spotter meeting is on the 30th, which is tomorrow, at 7 o'clock at the end.
Is Carl coming in?
I can go get it if you'd like.
He says,
Or recess.
Several thousand.
Tom looked that up one time.
We
Yeah, we talked about
looked at it years ago when
Yeah,
that
you did
incident
say
happened,
about it.
and I kept thinking it was around $3,000 a vehicle
I
then,
thought it was.
somewhere in there. But it's always just been funding issues.
The K-Camp guy that was just here said that for $800 or $900, you could have the body cam on the person. We get $2,000. We can use $2,000 from K-Camp to purchase those. Would you be interested in that?
It's a risk, what they call it,
It's just
a
a-
risk avoidance grant.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
well, why don't you check into see what our options are?
Just
If we buy them, we would have to purchase them and then K-Camp would reimburse us.
I saw a video the other day of just a GoPro. Really good video.
Yeah.
Of an issue that happened in Stafford a week or so ago. It's a really good video.
Well, he's-
That was a good
So
present.
Stafford has them?
They have, they do have, this individual had his own camera.
Oh.
Too. His own, and it's a GoPro. You can get them as little as $200, but the city of St. John has them, half the time they work, half the time they don't. You have to pay to get a good quality.
This guy mentioned $800 or $900, he thought. Check it
That
out.
would just be for an officer body cam on
Right.
it, probably.
Yeah.
And it's $600 to $800.
I'll look into it. Be surprised.
And also they'll reimburse us.
Tuition.
Just the tuition.
You gotta have a training for the camera system.
Well,
No, I mean
any
on regular.
any tuition.
On any tuition training, okay.
But you guys have been doing a lot of your stuff here, haven't you?
Some of it, yeah. Every now and then we have to pay an instructor to come in,
Yeah.
but we look around as much as we're getting as much free as we can.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
if you do have to pay tuition, you
This is
could
even
turn
nicer
that
than
in
what
and
we got
get
last year.
For
reimbursed.
reimbursement. It's good for the entire office, you know,
Yeah.
because our dispatchers go to training too, that we have to pay for and stuff, it's all part of it.
But they'll pay for the,
You might as well turn it in and try.
they'll pay for the tuition,
But not the
Not the
room. or
lodging.
No, no,
meals.
no, like that, sometimes it's just the tuition cost. Yeah.
We might as well use that $2,000.
but, yeah. I mean, we're paying hefty premiums.
Yes.
I'll get a little.
Philip has used some of their courses. He's had them come out and do the defensive driving course and something else. I don't know.
Sometimes mine gives it short cases too. Especially if you have something on video that DUIs especially, they go down, you know, they don't even fight them anymore after, oh my God, you can see this.
We think as how this has become popular and there's a lot of departments are doing it, you would think maybe the price would go down. But who knows?
The increase in the demand for them,
You
it
know,
actually
they-
goes up.
Because
Because they know they got you.
Very damn.
They look at, oh, you can afford to pay $10,000 for 2 or 3 systems more than you can pay $100,000 for a lawsuit, whether it's substantiated or not.
Mike, you got anything else for us? If it were possible and you were visiting with the Attorney General and I was around, I wouldn't mind being part of that.
Okay.
If, I mean, it's probably one of the secretaries that's, you know,
I think so, because while I was talking to her, I was in what we call Blue Book. It's a list of all the attorneys in all the different offices, and I was going down the list, sitting at this lady who was on the list, and I did not see her. So,
it's not that big a deal, but if it was convenient.
Maybe she was housekeeping.
But he also mentioned last night, I couldn't believe he brought up the fact that they had a really nice board member that gave them some money to operate on.
and that was part of the deal I asked about too, is that
Yes.
credit conflict.
Yes, I would like to get an opinion on that. The sooner the better.
And I sent the bylaws and everything to him, so they,
I can't believe he would say that again in an open public meeting. He has no idea.
were you, at one point, there was some discussion that there was some vacancies on that board? You might be filling those?
Good luck and try to
We've
find
tried,
somebody that fits
I've
it on
been
that.
trying very hard. I've had several close that would attend the meeting and then backed out. Some good ones. Yes, we have,
Johnson used to be on that board, didn't he? And he said he couldn't wait to get off of it. A few years ago,
we actually would have one opening from the Maxville Hudson area and 2 openings in St. John. Because they're supposed to come from the same district as
Two
we
from each district.
2 from each one and 1 at large. And I know the hospital's been trying to recruit people too, and they haven't.
Nobody wants to touch it.
Volunteer.
What's that?
Volunteer.
Volunteer?
Those members are volunteer.
Oh, yeah. I can't blame them. I mean, I thought I had one that would do a good job, that understood the issues, and when push came to shove, he couldn't pull the trigger. I don't blame him. Rob, you got anything for the good of the organization?
That was an old 4-H track.
I know. I was in 4-H a long time.
Me too.
Commissioners, you got anything good?
Nothing
Are
more.
you gonna move your meetings back to 8:30?
When do we want to do that?
You talked about doing it in April. I didn't know your farming situations and all that.
I would like to,
It-
this spring, or before we get busy, to move it back. I think.
That's fine.
You gonna start next week?
That's fine.
I switched my court touch, so
So
it's,
you're good?
So
because I thought we were talking
8:30
about
next
starting
week.
next week, and so.
No jackets, when do we start that? No
So it gets warm.
You can do that whenever you
No
want.
ties, no
I tell you
jackets.
guys. You
I don't like being
really-
oddball out. Because mine won't be fixed next week, so.
It will be?
One of me.
We can start that next week too.
Okay.
Yeah, but we do have to have a tie.
I've been rolled out of that for
I'll
maybe a
give you-
I'll
month.
stop
I'll
it.
give you a
And he said
clip-on.
we're closing, and maybe I'll have some like discount clip-on ties.
Get your wife to put it on.
Don't have one of those either.
But you can't tie a tie?
No.
Mm.
Okay, we'll adjourn.